Welcome food fans, picky eaters, the flavor curious, and everyone in between. Nothing makes good food better than good conversation, and your table is ready. Welcome back to another episode of the Food For ThoughtCast with your hosts, Melissa Reagan and Steven Gonzalez, but you can call them Chef. All right, let's get this episode started.
Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food For ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. What you been up to?
Just having fun and working and trying to come up with some new content. What you got? What's new with you?
Also the same, just work, and I'm also trying to figure out how to get these tasty podcasts into the hands of the people. But I've been eating too, but you first. What was the most amazing thing you ate this week?
You know, I'm actually about to go check out a new Mexican restaurant sometime today, and I'm looking forward to that. The place is called Chile con Limon.
Nice.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about it, so.
Well, where we left off last, there were a couple of events I was going to go to that had food trucks, and I did that, so that's what we're going to talk about today. But the most amazing thing I ate, hands down, at the multiple food trucks I visited was fried catfish and grits. It was fantastic.
Yeah?
It was really good. It was crispy, it was hot, it was cornmeal crusted. This food truck was called Samo Damos.
Mm-hmm.
And they sell shrimp and grits, they sell catfish, they have fries, they have all sort of great stuff. And they sell shrimp and grits, they sell catfish, they have fries, they have all sort of great stuff. It had a little gravy on it, it was really great. There were a lot of fresh green onions on it, and there was cheddar cheese in the grits, so it was amazing. Now, if it had been 100 degrees outside, I don't think I would have chosen it, but like maybe, I don't know. But it's been a little bit of overcast, so it was perfect. It was mind-blowingly good. It was really great.
Nice. If you notice, I have a different background today because I am in a different place for the podcast today.
Steven's in a different studio today.
Long story short, my house is being worked on with all of our gas lines, things like that. So that way y'all don't have to hear a bunch of like things in the background. My buddies at Exquisite Catering let me use their place. So big shout out to them because they're awesome. They are one catering out here in West Texas. So, yeah.
Nice. Shout out to Exquisite Catering. That's awesome. And, you want to keep making content for your YouTube channel without, like, blowing up your house and staying safe. So, yeah, I mean, this is, like, something you got to get taken care of so you don't explode. That's also, like, mildly terrifying.
The crazy part is we had candles lit there at the house and we didn't blow up. So that's always we'll just be grateful for that.
Yeah, very grateful for that. No blowing things up, no catching things on fire.
Food trucks. Tell me about some food trucks.
Food trucks, huh? So we can't talk about food trucks without talking about a chuck wagon. These were kind of the very first American version of food trucks as we know them. Mm-hmm. Covered wagons, they traveled all over America as it was, right? The American wilderness. They would sell perishable foods to cowboys like loggers, miners. Typical chuck wagon, you would find things like beans and cured meats, earliest iterations of jerky, pemmican, things like that.
Charcuterie.
Yeah, they'd make charcuterie, but, like the chuck wagon style. You've got your classics like coffee and biscuits, and then you would find things like freshwater. Chuck wagons would carry wood to build fires, and then it would flip the wagons to be used as like mobile barber shops and dentists and surgeries and things like that. Like if you know your history, then those things were one and the same. Like a barber would be the same person that would pull your teeth and etc. And I'm super glad that we have progressed really far past that. But if you fast forward to the 1890s, and the earliest food sellers, mobile food sellers and vendors would be like for university students, and they would set up outside places, things like Yale, Princeton, and Harvard at dormitories, and they would sell things like sausages. But fast forward way past that, the most famous and recognizable food truck in the history of the United States, it has to be the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, created in 1936. So it was made to advertise and sell the Oscar Mayer Wieners, And it toured the United States selling hot dogs, and it would stop outside schools, orphanages, parades, hospitals, and so on and so forth. These days, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is being used as a repurposed Airbnb, but it is by far the most famous example. And then in the 1950s, you started to see things like ice cream vans and ice cream trucks, and we have to consider these food trucks also. They still go all over the place today. Steve, what did yours play when you were growing up? Mine played Pop Goes the Weasel.
Let's see. Mine was, I don't know the name of the song, but yeah, it was pretty much, musical.
Pretty much, right? In the 1960s and 1970s in LA, that's where you started to see the Mexican lancharas, like the lunch trucks. Specifically taco trucks, and taco trucks specifically wouldn't start till 1974, but then by 1987 taco trucks were all the rage all across California. And then grease trucks, what they called grease trucks in the late 70s and 1980s, would start selling things like cheeseburgers and greasy things like hot dogs, hamburgers. And then in 2008 was kind of like the food truck revolution as we know it. That's where we started to see interest on things like social media and food trucks, food truck rodeos and roundups and yards and festivals and things like that. And you would have lots full of food trucks. So 2010, things like LA, 2011, places like New York, they would start to do specific events around food trucks, and it kind of became its own industry. And then brick and mortar restaurants, 2010 to 2012, really started getting involved. Like Katz's Deli would have its own place, and then it would have a food truck so it could get its products across large cities. So it was a great way for them to get, meet that demand, and their customers could find them in other places. And then food trucks are starting to offer things like Wi-Fi and gaming and, everything besides delicious food. So there's your brief, but not so brief, history of food trucks in the United States.
Fun fact, I used to rent a lot, and I would rent out to food trucks. And we had a lot of different vendors, if you will. And for us, it was like $50 a month, $25 for the day, whatever. And we met so many different food truck vendors. There was always something going on. And the property managers, we had so many issues with them that we just kind of said, you know what, we're done, because they're just the worst.
Yeah, cities have a lot of crazy rules about food trucks.
Yeah.
Where you can and can't park. There's all sort of permits. What is it when it's considered mobile? It is crazy. They make the barrier to entry to having a food truck ridiculous.
It was funny because the very first truck that we had, he set up, he's doing his thing, and I get a phone call and he's saying, yeah, they're telling me I can't be here. And I, dumbfounded. I was like, what are you talking about? So he had the property managers call me and they're like, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, the hell I can, because I have a contract. So you all need to figure it out. And they try to give us so much flack for it. They have to have insurance and this and this and this.
Yeah, right.
They're a business. They're trying to make money. I have a contract that's legally binding. So no, I'm not going to do what you say. We went back and forth. And then one of the best parts about it was we could cancel at any time. And they finally said, well, we're not going to do this anymore because it's being sold. And I said, again, I have a legally binding contract saying you have to give me 30 days before we have to stop. And I pushed their buttons every weekend. If we had a different food truck that we didn't have a contract with, I'd be like, hey, you all need to get over here and you all need to fix this now. It really grew to hate me because, hey, I took full advantage of it. Would I do it all over again? Yeah, I would, because what it meant for me was, food trucks were getting their names out there. I met a bunch of great people. And either way, the community was being served, The property managers, thumbs down to them. Food trucks, thumbs up to them.
So for those of you out there who watch things like The Bear, or you wonder if all the stress is actually real in this business, it actually really is, because so much of what goes, into getting a chef's food into consumers' hands is just piles of paperwork and bureaucracy and red tape, and there are challenges and obstacles and all these crazy hoops to jump through. And it could have just even been a tiny cart selling hot dogs, and it's going to have a ton of things that have to happen before it could even function.
So tell me about one of your favorite food trucks of all time.
So one of my favorite food trucks of all time is Cilantro. It's in Austin. They might have a few more locations now since I left, like throughout San Marcos, but they first came on the scene in 2010, and they have like kimchi fries and they have bulgogi, but it's like you can hear it in the name, right? Like it's fusion. They have like bulgogi tacos and burritos, like Mexican and Korean, or like Korean Tex-Mex, but it was really my first introduction to a food truck, and it just kind of like holds a special place in my heart.
Nice.
So that's Austin, but in Dallas we had a huge park that's called Clyde Warren. It's in the middle of downtown, and the way that it's built, like the interstate actually runs underneath it.
Been there once.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a land bridge over the freeway, and they have food trucks on a rotation through there. I've tried several of them, but one of my favorites is called Halal Mother Truckers, and it's Pakistani and Indian fusion. And the butter chicken tacos and the chicken tikka quesadillas are not to be missed. So it's incredible. But in case anybody can't tell, like I'm a major fusion fan. I like traditional stuff too, but I like to see like a fun spin or kind of a combination of two different cultural styles. So I'm always down for that. What about you, Steve? What's your favorite food truck?
One of my favorites of all time was when I was in San Antonio. It was called Torchy's Tacos. I'm kidding.
I thought I was like on the wrong show for a second.
Everyone knows how much I love that place. It was a little food truck, a little Mexican food truck called El Gallito. And it was kind of like on the northish side off of like Hebner and Vance Jackson.
Okay.
And I would go there after work all the time and get like lengua burritos and stuff like that.
Yum.
They never disappointed, ever. It was always the same good quality, and it was out of this world. And when I came to Midland, I do have a couple of food trucks that, I can't say they've been my favorite, but I think very highly of them. And one of them is actually one of my first vendors, Down South Seafood, who they do like crawfish boils and
nice
smoked gator, stuff like that. And everything they do was just stellar and out of this world,
How do they, sorry, let me ask you, how do they serve like the boil from the food truck? Like they put it like in a just paper, or what like in a to-go box?
It was just all like in styrofoam plates and stuff like that. And they would go back and forth to like, I want to say Houston. So that's like about a 5-hour drive. They would go back to and from every single day to go pick up their crawfish fresh from Louisiana, because they would have someone meet them, halfway there.
Sure.
And I mean, holy crap, it was so good. And then another one that I really loved was called Cane de Oro Pizza. And the guy that would make those pizzas, he was just awesome. Unfortunately, I found out he passed away a few years ago, so I haven't really seen much of them lately. Another one, let's see, what else we got? Pachuco's, the owner, Chef Ruben Carrasco, good friend of mine to this day. Like, I remember the very first night he ever opened up. No culinary training, but he has a lot of that love for French and classic and putting his own twist on everything. Like, now he has his own brick and mortar, which is out of this world. But, I've seen him grow quite a bit. And then one of my other all-time favorites, De Casa. I mean, I would always love going there. I would wait. Like, there was one night where it was like a 40-minute wait because they were that busy. And I just remember having a 6-pack of beer with me and just drinking beer, waiting while they were just putting food out. It was awesome,
Nice. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, if you didn't mention De Casa Pizza, you were going to get us canceled from our own pod.
Shout out to De Casa Pizza.
Yeah, seriously. Shout out to De Casa Pizza. I have to mention friends of the show, Team Fat Kid Food Truck. They were on episode 3 or 4 of the early days of this podcast. They were on the Great Food Truck Race on the Food Network. They're actually starting a new venture called the Shmitt Sandwich, so coming soon to that area, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention them because, yeah, I can't wait to hear all about it, and then hopefully I can like drive up there because I'm a little bit closer than I was when I lived in Texas. So
or bring them back to do another episode. I've never heard of them, but I want to know all about them now. You are right, like going back to saying like there's trucks that have Wi-Fi and they've got games, and it's like they are pushing the envelopes on what we think of as a food truck now.
Some of them even have their own apps, or they have like a large following on social media, so everybody knows where they're going to be. Yeah, so I remember back in the day, like Dallas is probably 1 or 2 years behind getting everything that Austin already has. I said what I said. I mean, I don't really care what anybody thinks about that. because it's freaking true. They just ride Austin's coattails on a lot of things, right? But in Austin and Dallas, I remember you would go out on a weekend and you would go to like a, street festival or maybe a farmer's market or some sort of community event or gathering and be like, sweet, there's food trucks here. And now you have food trucks that, have regular places, right? That there's more consistency. You can figure out what's going to happen and where people are going to be. It's a lot bigger enterprise than it ever was. I have to tell you, Steve, like at the end of my neighborhood, if I walk about a mile down onto our main street, so I live in a tiny town now, so I can actually walk to Main Street. If I get to the edge of the neighborhood, there's a Citgo station. There's a food truck that sits in the parking lot. It sells barbecue. I've never once made it there where they weren't sold out. I've tried at all times of the day. I hope it's some amazing barbecue. Like I need to figure it out and try to get there when they're open. But I need to start like driving by it frequently and just trying to figure out when the best times are. But it better be the most mind-blowing barbecue ever.
I was going to say, worst case scenario, you contact them and see what the best time to show up. For all you know, maybe it's like Franklin Barbecue in Austin where people show up like 4 hours before they open.
I think they're like a really small operation, but just, oh my gosh, I just want to try it. Like, why can't I just try it? And now it has that like kind of forbidden fruit quality to it, right? Where it's like, ooh, it has to be amazing,
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I went to a foodie fair in downtown Raleigh.
Okay, tell me about that.
So they have a bunch of musicians. They have like a lot of street vendors. They like, crafts market and kind of like / farmers market, but it's separate from the official farmers market. So this is at a place called Ironworks. I haven't made my way around the entire city yet. I haven't got to know the city of Raleigh yet, but I find like little pockets here and there and like discovering different things. But this was really neat. They had a ton of vendors out there. And so before I ran out of money and got full, I visited six different food trucks. I have a list here. So the first place I ended up was the Little Salt and Pepper food truck. I had an Italian beef sandwich. It was pretty good. The jus was really good. It had provolone cheese. The bread was like, it left a little bit to be desired, but I know that, you're big on bread, and I kind of feel like it makes the sandwich too. Another place I went to was Cousin's Maine Lobster. They're a national chain. They're so good. I really wasn't in the mood for a lobster roll, but I got lobster tots. They were really, really good. They were like super crispy, really hot. They had cilantro lime sauce and pico de gallo. And I mean, I like when people use lobster for like non-traditional applications. Like it's really intriguing to me.
Anytime they come down to Midland, I mean, there's just a long line and they're good.
Yeah, they're really high quality, and I felt like the lobster was really fresh. Let's see. I also went to a truck. I keep wanting to call it St. Vincent's, but I think it's based on an area like in Spain called San Vicente. So there's not like a second N in there, but I keep messing it up. But this truck is St. Vincent, because I'm just going to keep saying it that way because I don't know how to pronounce it without both ends. But anyway, it's a Spanish cuisine truck. They had like assorted croquetas, and I also had the seafood paella. It was phenomenal. It was my mistake was getting 2 items at this stop, so I was already like, I was almost way too full, and I had other things I wanted to try.
Hard thing to do. You said you went to 7?
Yeah. Oh, well, like 6 places. So 7 items at 6 places.
It blows my mind off after the second one.
Well, I really wanted so full disclosure, right? Like if I'm going out to try different foods, I'm having like 1 or 2 bites of each thing. And then, I won't say that I throw it away every time, but if it's something I can take home, I will take it home, right? Like, well, if I'm at the fair and, I usually have like 2 or 3 people. Well, it's interesting. Like I've never been to the fair alone. So I always have like 2 or 3 people to help me. But in this situation, I budgeted, enough money. Like I'm not like counting anything per se, like calories or anything, but I just planned out my entire day was only going to be this. So I was like, okay, well, it'll just be like breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in one. I got 2 full though. And I just had like a potato and a rice right after the others. So I think that was kind of like my downfall, but it didn't slow me down, right? Like I kind of powered through. I got fish and grits, as I mentioned at the top of the show, and then Barone's Italian Grill. they have meatballs. So they say that the best balls in town and or in the triangle is like, that's what they call the Tri-Cities area. And so, yeah, I didn't really want more Italian food per se, but so the event was like 10 to 3. It was a really fun time. There were probably like 50 other things that I wanted to try while I was there, but like, first of all, budget, and then second of all, I was full as a tick. But yeah, Barone's, they had like the bacon cheeseburger meatballs. They were fantastic. So it was like bacon, cheddar cheese, lettuce, onion, tomato, pickle, and then jalapeno mayo. So it was a fun twist on a traditional thing. I ate like one meatball and I was like, yeah, okay. And then the rest of them, I took it home with me and I had lunch for the next day. So the fish and grits, I ate half and then took the other half home. And then everything was like, I knew I was going to go straight home. So it was like, okay, well, I can just take everything home and it'll be, safe, right? But yeah, it was a lot of stuff, but it was a fun day. At Barone Italian Grill, they also had Cuban meatballs. And if I see the truck somewhere else, like I want to try those. It's red onions, like Swiss cheese, pickles. Yeah, but I really wanted to try that. But there's something about that classic flavors of like bacon cheeseburger that I can't pass up. It sounded really good. It was super exciting. 6 days later, in this town, right in this square, they have this event. It's called Friday Night on White. It's White Street. They have, maybe 8 trucks, 10, 12 trucks. Maybe they also have like a rotating schedule of the trucks. Some of them, serve wine or other beverages, but I looked them up ahead of time. One was called Trash Talk. This was started in August of 2018 by a native of Rochester, New York, which is where the trash plate or like the garbage plate is invented. That's where it comes from. So she said that she moved here and she wanted to bring it with her to North Carolina because it's her favorite thing to eat. But like she felt like it was a niche that needed to be filled here and to satisfy all the Yankees that were like moving down south, which I think that's hysterical because it's like there's something really special about moving to a new place and going like, if I can't find what I like, I'll make it happen. It's my favorite thing and they don't have it here. So like, I'm going to make it happen. And I applaud her for that. So it's like a cheeseburger trash plate. It's 2 patties with cheese and it's laid on a bed of fries and it has macaroni salad, onions, mustard, and then like a meaty hot sauce, which I think I could only like equate it to like, it's like a chili sauce, like chili with, that you would put on a hot dog, but super duper heartburn adventure. It was completely worth it. No regrets.
Almost like there's a food truck here called Pacific Flavor, which is like all Hawaiian stuff. And they want,
Yes.
I've eaten there once. It took about an hour to get my food.
Oh no.
Well, the guy was by himself and I think he forgot about us. I don't remember what happened, but like there was just a breakdown in communication for him. And he saw that like, we were waiting for a while. Then he's like, hey, man, here's some skewers, stuff like that. And he ended up hooking us up with like a little extra stuff, which was
that's awesome.
Everything was good. And I don't know why, but now they just popped in my head and I saw where they'll be tonight. So maybe I might go pick up some Hawaiian food. I think it was like the macaroni salad I was talking about.
Yeah, the classic lunch plate with like the rice or the macaroni salad. And do you get the pork?
I will,
It's so good.
Yeah. I've had it before and I like it. Like everything that I've had, like that's Hawaiian, themed and all that, it's all been good,
I love that stuff too. There's a chain. I don't have anything against like all chains, but a shout out to a dear friend of mine, Daniel Hill. He's pretty high up in the company, Hawaiian Brothers. They're super consistent, but say what you will, like they're on top of it. The product is quality.
Yeah. I'll be hitting up some fried musubi this evening. So yeah, thanks a lot. You made me happy today.
Oh, I love musubi. Steve, tell everybody what spam musubi is.
So it's just spam with a little bit of seaweed wrapped in rice. Basically like I guess you would call like what, like a spam sushi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They usually put it with like some sort of like or a spicy mayo and veal sauce or something along those lines, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know if like anything that's mayonnaise based is traditional, but I think it goes well with yum yum sauce or like chipotle aioli or something like that. But since you're talking about like something that's like Hawaiian or, kind of Polynesian, I think Kewpie mayo makes really good sense for something like that. Okay, and then the other spot that I checked out at the same event was called Bulgogi. you can see where this is going. I won't apologize for what I like, but it's more fusion. So I ended up having some amazing like tofu kimchi street tacos. They also came in like chicken, pork, and beef. They were sold out of like a fried rice, beef bulgogi, black bean corn, like crazy everything in the same burrito by the time I got there. But no regrets. I have to go track them down. Like there's a season where they hold this event. That was the last one until April. So super sad panda, but I need to travel to Durham and like, try this food truck and figure out where it's going to be, because they were some of the best tacos I've had in a long time. By no means like anything authentic Tex-Mex, but a really neat concept and like really well done tofu. It's kind of hard to get it right, but I had a blast at this event. They also had a cover band, and I went with my new boss and her husband. She's awesome. So it was fun times had by all.
Have you ever come across like any of the beer trucks, stuff like that?
Yes. Well, they have that one that is kind of like a semi that pulls into the fair with all the tap handles on it. I don't know if you saw that when we went to the fair.
I think I did.
I've seen a few of them around though, and I love how they always have like really fun names, like Pints on the Go or whatever pun, that they could make. Like I've seen quite a few of them, sometimes like concerts in the park or like Shakespeare in the Park, and it might be like a little rosé truck or like a wine truck because they're kind of, trendy right now.
I don't think I've ever seen like a wine truck, but I've seen them before where yeah, it's like the 18-wheelers. I've also seen the ones where like they'll fix up like an old 1950s pickup and then put like all the kegs in the bed of the truck and with taps and all that. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, for sure.
Old truck, and they're bringing like all that nostalgia back. But I know that there's like different licensing things like that you have to go through. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I'm sure, I know it's possible to do. I'm all about it. Yeah, totally.
So Steve, like what is your ultimate, or we could start with, what's the craziest food truck you've ever seen? And do you seek out food trucks when you're traveling, or do you already have where you're going to eat in mind?
I try to have where I'm going to eat in mind. If we stop at a food truck, it's a total added bonus, but I don't really go out of my way to like find, outrageous food trucks, stuff like that. I just kind of go with whatever I'm in the mood for.
Yeah, I get that. It never fails. It's like seemingly every time I see a cool food truck, I'm already on the way to eat somewhere. And so it seems like it always has to be an event that I'm headed to, because working in restaurants and stuff, I'm never working like in a hospital or a school, any of those places where a food truck is going to pull up and be in the parking lot all day. So I'm never in a situation where I'm like, oh, it's such and such food truck today. Sweet. I didn't get to eat today. I'm just going to go cry in the walk-in. Bye.
I always appreciate the fact that like a lot of cities, they support them, or you have that business that always has a food truck around. You're right. Like back in 2008, I remember when they just started blowing up everywhere you go. There's another food truck. And for a while, it felt like that was just the thing to do when that's like a hidden gem. I'm just always happy.
Yeah. And a lot of places where I always see them are like outside breweries where the brewery doesn't have its own kitchen.
Yep.
So like Family Business Brewing in Dripping Springs, right outside Austin, they have a food truck that's outside that has the most incredible mac and cheese. It's really, really good. And I love a crazy mac and cheese menu or like a good mac and cheese concept. I love that stuff.
You can get so creative with it.
Dude, there's a place nearby that I think I've seen on TikTok or Instagram maybe that is like before I moved here, and I didn't know it was here, but it's like a Mac bar, Mac house or something like that, where you like start with the noodles and you go down a huge long line and they build it custom for you with like meats and different cheese sauces and all these different toppings. And I am so excited to try it out. I will report back once I've tried it. I have to go find it. I think it's right by the movie theater, so that's convenient. So Steve, if you were to open a food truck, like Steve's Sandwich Shop notwithstanding, is there something else you would do, or something specific you always thought would work great as a food truck, or like any dream that you had? Or
I would probably keep it along that same thing of like just sandwich, like that movie Chef with Jon Favreau. One thing, and
I love that movie.
When that movie came out, everyone's like, "Have you seen Chef? Have you seen Chef?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen it." And then I finally saw it. I was like, "Oh, I see what everyone's talking about. Like, it's actually pretty cool."
Yeah, everybody asked me if I had seen it, and I was like, "Yeah, duh. My name's in the title. Easy money."
Well, it's like when I was in high school and I was in band on the drum line. Everyone's like, "Have you seen Drumline?"
Hey, Steven, that's a great movie.
Horrible. No, why I didn't watch it. That's why I never saw Chef for a long time, because I saw maybe like 5 minutes of drumline, and I was like, this drumming is horrible.
Well, I mean, Chef and Burnt are actually accurate, but Drumline is not. But I think it's nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably just have like a couple different sandwiches, but it'd be like one type of bread, and it would, like, because you got like, let's say you become popular, you're like space for product, like a friend of mine used to have a double-decker bus that he got from England, and he made it into like a food bus. And so like the bottom was kitchen, and the top, like you could go eat and stuff like that. And he had tables in front of it. It was the coolest thing ever. And it was called Bus 22. And I worked out of there a couple times, like just for fun. And he let me showcase my stuff one time and
Oh, that's awesome.
brunch with him. It was, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And I mean, there were times where even I'm like, okay, why did I agree to do this? But I mean, it was totally cool,
Where was this again? Sorry.
Out here in Midland.
Oh, okay. Well, what kind of food was it?
He had like a little bit of everything for a long time, and so he bought this old building. He kind of turned it like into a hydroponic farm where he would do like microgreens and stuff like that. And then right behind it, he would just move the bus forward to go out and then back in, like, for the night and whatnot. But he had another chef who would just like, they would make sandwiches, tacos, burgers, things like that, and everything was just delicious.
I just I don't know how you renovate a double-decker bus and don't serve fish and chips out of it. It seems like a huge missed opportunity.
Bus 22 was the coolest thing ever. Like, it was so rad. I asked him a couple times, like, hey, do you ever take the bus like around downtown? And he's like, yeah, dude, it's so scary because like you're trying to go under all the lights and all that, and you're just afraid, like, am I going to hit this light?
Yeah, right? Like, I can't even imagine it. It sounds so scary.
It was just the coolest thing ever. It was so rad.
I love it. Well, I always thought a fun thing to do would be to take a Volkswagen bus, redo the inside, turn it into a food truck, and then it would specialize in like 60s and 70s cocktail party appetizers, like all that weird retro food, but actually make it good and modernize it. Like pigs in a blanket and stuff, but put your own fun spin on it, and I think it would be a really good idea.
There's a guy that used to do that with like one of the buses, the Volkswagen buses, but he had a hot dog trailer like attached to it. And I mean, he did so well for himself, and everybody knew him as the hot dog guy, and they loved his hot dogs. I never got a chance to eat them because, I just always fell through, but I've heard nothing but good things about him. I think he's retired now, but there's all sorts of vendors, that do the same thing. And what I love about it is that everyone has their own little twist and spin on, their own take on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a little place here. I think I would be remiss, if we didn't talk about food carts as being part of food trucks. But you saying hot dogs made me think of it. But there's a little place in front of the Lowe's here. I haven't tried it yet, but there's a place called Wicked Links. And they have incredible reviews, and they claim that they have the best sausages and hot dogs, in this area. So basically ever. It's a huge, bold claim. But I want to try them out. I've been around since 1998, and I've been to the Lowe's a couple of times, but I haven't tried it. Like, I'm always have already eaten, but I'm just going to have to, make sure I go hungry, and then something about it, I always think about warm water hot dog carts in New York, just kind of ugh, it's kind of gross, but I can be kind of weirded out if the food's not the proper temperature. But I think this guy probably knows what he's doing, and it's always busy, so I have to go try it out. But everybody here says, oh my gosh, these are the best. You have to go try it. So it's definitely on the list. But yeah, one time I had a Philly cheesesteak that was a questionable temperature of a food truck, and I got super sick. So I'm kind of wary of stuff that's not piping hot.
I don't think I've had the Philly cheesesteak off of it. Well, it's been a while since I've done that. But I just happen to stumble upon interesting food trucks. I don't seek them out, and they don't seek me out. I just happen to find them, Funny because on my Instagram feed, a lot of it's either chefs, old 80s Toyota pickups, or music, those are the things that I'm into.
So that place I was telling you about with the mac and cheese, they have a truck called the Mac House. So now I have to go find out where it's going to be. I've seen a lot of kebab trucks around. I love that stuff, like all of doner kebabs, like Mediterranean, anything that's like that. I've seen a few food trucks in like roundups in Dallas that I didn't think made a ton of sense. Like one of them was all soups. I think they were kind of trying to go for like the soup peddler fame from Seinfeld. But it's just kind of weird. Like I don't want to eat soup standing up. Is that strange?
If I do that, it's got to be like in like a Yeti cup or something. And
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Like, so if it's okay, if it's like chili and you have it like in the bag of Fritos or Doritos and you do like the walking taco or like it's like the portable Frito pie, I'm down for that, you know? It just, soup is like weird. I want something handheld, you know, like something I can carry around. So,
agreed.
okay, so apparently there's a food truck near me called the Queso Monster, so I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out. There are all sort of taco trucks, all sort of barbecue trucks. One is called Chicken Q, and they have barbecue and chicken tenders. Like, I kind of feel like you have to be really great at both. You can be good at one or the other, but like, they better bring it, right? I mean, I'm just saying. I think if I could have a food truck, it would definitely be, you know, some sort of fusion. Um, I haven't thought too hard about it. I do not like being my own boss. If I'm left to my own devices, I will screw it up. I just don't have that kind of motivation. It's why I don't have one already. But I think that it would probably be like some sort of like falafel and Tex-Mex, Mediterranean slash Tex-Mex.
It'd be like Mexican Chinese fusion where it's like a fried rice fajita.
It'd be like Kung Pao tacos or like teriyaki chicken flautas or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, exactly. Well, and when we're talking about Chinese, it would be like very Americanized Chinese fusion. It'd be like sweet and sour shrimp, you know, like quesadilla or something like that. Do you put cheese on Chinese food though? Because you can't have like a quesadilla or a flauta without cheese.
I've never seen it happen, but there's a first time for everything. So yes, that sounds like
Okay.
that's what's going to happen at your food truck.
Okay. So what if you took Americanized Chinese food, but the fusion like was like it was like Tex-Mex tortas. So you would have like the really good bolillo bread with then you filled it with like lo mein, you know?
I would do walnut shrimp tacos.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Would it be corn or flour?
Oh, flour, duh. If you go corn, it's got to be homemade because that's the only way to get corn tortillas. Only way.
Yeah, and then I think you could do like carrot escabeche as a garnish, but with like rice wine vinegar and ginger.
Yeah, I would totally be about that. What
I
else
would
do I
eat that.
normally get? What? Yeah, like I said, fried rice and beans, the fried egg on top. Yeah,
Now you're making me want like a pizza taco truck.
pizza taco truck where every
Yeah, where every taco is like the pizza crust with the fillings. Well, isn't there a chain that does like a pizza or did I just make that up in my head?
papadilla, that's Papa
Ah,
John's. You can try that, yeah.
yeah, I want pizza tacos. I mean, there are some really terrible tacos out there, so it couldn't be worse. It just has to be marginally better than terrible pizza and terrible tacos that already exist. You could take the worst taco and the worst pizza that exists and just combine them together. Then it's like a monument to mediocrity. Like it sucks less than this.
A less sucky taco pizza.
Taco slash pizza is pizza slash taco.
That sounds like it would be a home run.
Steven, is there anything that you would like to see sold from a food truck that you don't think exists or you think it's all been done?
Everything that I've thought of has already been done. I've tried to be as creative and as weird as possible, and I'll Google it just to see, and it's been done. So I would like to see. Now that we mention it, like a good China. Yeah, I think we just figured out
Yeah, the Chinese Tex-Mex. I told you.
right. But I mean, case in point is like when I was in restaurants, I thought I had come up with like foie gras flan, and sure enough, like, well, shoot,
I can't remember which birthday it was, but I think maybe it was like my 23rd or yeah, I spent in Austin 23rd or 22nd, but a friend of mine brought me a foie gras corny dog off of a tasting menu, and it was phenomenal. And it was their gift to me because it cost a lot. It was awesome. Yeah, it was amazing. It was lightly battered, and it came with homemade mustard. It was great.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was super good. I know that there are food trucks, well, like ice cream trucks aside, you know, they're usually selling like branded products or prepackaged products, but I know that there are trucks out there that do ice cream. And I know that there are trucks out there that do like, nitro stuff where they're, it's like freezing it kind of on site. That's kind of the chemistry stuff. But I think it would be really great if you could combine the two, like cream puffs, donuts, ice cream type deal, so that you would bite into this like warm, traditional, like, cream puff or donut hole, and then you could crunch into it, like kind of like blow the fog out of it. I think the flavor possibilities are, endless, like, red velvet, hot cocoa, all sort of seasonal things. I think there's some sort of like frozen donut market, business demand out there.
Might be onto something.
Maybe. I don't know. I know it takes a lot of space. I mean, a fair amount of space to produce donuts. So I don't know how that looks like in a truck, what that looks like.
So let me ask you this. If you had a food truck, would it be a big old trailer or would it be an actual truck?
Oh, it would definitely be like a panel truck that you drive, like a truck. It might have like a commissary or like a brick and mortar kitchen where you might go every morning to like stock it up. And then maybe it's like what lives on the truck is, what lives on the truck is like all your fresh produce and things like that.
I like that when people do the trailers too, but if I'm gonna do it, and because I always have to like oversee everything, I'd have to like have the panel trucks. That way, if someone were to come in that I don't know about, I'd be like, "What are you doing in my truck?" I'm weird like that,
Yeah, I mean, definitely when we're talking about the space, I have for sure worked in some really small kitchens, so it would have to be something I really wanted to do and really loved in order to do it.
No, I agree.
Like sometimes you're creating and you just want to spread out,
Yeah, because I mean, you can go as big as you want, but
or like somebody still has to drive it, I mean, that's crazy, Steve.
And so, what else is really cool? So like kind of giving back to the community, things like that. Like the company I work for, HEB, shameless plug. They 18-wheelers, like 18-wheeler kitchens where like whenever there's hurricanes and stuff, they go to the coast or whatever's being affected, they'll feed a ton of people and they feed the masses.
I love that.
And I think it's like 2-3 trucks. They have a few. And I mean, I would love to be a part of that team where you just go and cook all day and you're getting paid to just like cook. Like there's no expectations. Just make sure your food is edible and doesn't get people sick. And you're awesome. Like,
yeah, totally.
That's the team I want to be a part of. As much as I love what I do in this,
I mean, yeah, there's a lot to be said about the value of disaster relief. Jose Andres does the same thing with his organization. He's a beast. He has like massive trucks and trailers. Man, I got to put some thought into this. I'm going to have to come up with a better pitch for, possible food truck. I'm just saying. This isn't my best work, or I'm just going to have to go try a lot of food trucks, which I think is probably more likely to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely more of a possibility at this point.
That's why I played safe. Sandwiches are the way to go. Just get a panini press, and then you just call it a pastivi press.
Oh, God, Steve.
How to tie my name in that one.
It's a Steve-wich.
Let me get a ham and cheese pastivi, please. Oh, could I get a roast beef and cheddar pastivi?
No, Steve, I hate that.
Well,
you're not even sorry.
I think I have my new business.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got it. I think it's the shtick is there. It's handled. You're done. You're ready to do this.
Yeah, and the food truck would just be called Pastivis. Yeah.
No.
It doesn't have like a bad sound to it. At least I don't think so. And then of course that's when you're gonna have someone like, say, I don't think that name is pretty good.
Well, Steve, I've had a blast talking food trucks with you, but I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta go.
Yeah, we need to go find some food trucks, huh?
Yeah, we gotta find some food trucks and eat a ton of food right now.
Thanks to everyone for hanging out with us today, and we'll catch you next time, huh?
Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap for today. Until the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast, make good food, eat good food, share it, and be kind to one another.
Thanks so much for listening today. You are part of what makes us special, and we are so glad you joined us. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Just like food, delicious podcasts are better when you share them with others. Come back for seconds wherever podcasts are served, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Food for ThoughtCast.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Food For ThoughtCast or at www.foodforthoughtcast.com, where you can link to all podcast players, or you can send us an email at foodforthoughtcmc@gmail.com.